Believe on my side, man. If you don't believe, just drop believe in the comment section. When me are telling us say labor rights sick my stomach. That's why I don't even watch the news from what here. I not go up on the media. I not go in and run my live. Nah, nothing. Them just sick my stomach and you know I need for them my own space. Now me get to the point now, my side. The point is the NARRA bill the government come with propose good step forward for Jamaica, yeah? But you know, them are gonna come with certain flaws. Too much powers in the Prime Minister and there's nothing that they protect the people of Jamaica. Yeah, the most vulnerable. Alright, fast forward now my side. The PNP, the opposition has outlined several flaws within the NARA bill. Yeah? And, you know, delve into it deep where them give solutions. Yeah? Now, after doing that, my side, giving the solutions, yeah? You have some labor writer run up and down. Attack say PNP no want nothing good for Jamaica and PNP a destruction and this and that. Yo, believe me. You saw what Isaac Buchanan pointed out in the NARA bill and other MP, Peter Bunting and others, even Marlene Malawu Foot, stand with the opposition in their criticism of the bill. Now, una run at about PNP no want nothing. See today, a coalition of 28 civil society groups come and tell the government to go revisit a NARA bill there cause them uneasy. Yeah? Them uneasy right now. Them need more clarity. Them to go revisit that. So, listen me. A PNP no want nothing good for Jamaica. You know why I want to say that? PNP always try to protect the rights are the most vulnerable in Jamaica and the rights of all Jamaicans. But guess what? That's why I want to sick my stomach. Because I don't have my head and I walk on a brain full of shit like crab.
This bill, as the Prime Minister has said, is the most consequential piece of legislation that is to be passed. And he invited all of us to approach the consideration of the bill seriously. And so, you know, we can't really rush it too much, even though time is of the essence. And I have a full appreciation of what the Prime Minister is seeking to achieve. I do not believe that anyone who has spoken has taken issue with the goals that are being pursued. But the concerns are whether the bill in its form will achieve those goals. Madam Speaker, the bill in its current form will not achieve the goals that are set.
Thank you, Member.
Madam Speaker, this matter is so important. I don't know what motivates my colleagues on that side who are clapping. But I know that I am vested in the success of the actions of the government. And so, Madam Speaker, this is too important for us not to have the kind of buy-in and take into account the very valid concerns that have been raised. So, Madam Speaker, on that note, I invite the Prime Minister piloting the bill and the team to take into account the very valid points that have been made. The bill needs some reworking.
Thank you, Member.
Who can rebuild a house with just $500,000? Who can rebuild a resilient house with just $500,000? There is absolutely nothing that speaks to that in this. And members whose constituencies were not affected can say whatever they want to say. When you travel across eastern Westmoreland and the parish of Westmoreland, several homes still have tarpaulin on them. Several homes still have tarpaulin on them. Right?
Speaker, is that if I was the lawyer for the procurement process, I would say I have multiple evidence that procurement is not as guilty as we're seeking to make procurement. This entire bill seems to suggest that procurement is the chief hindrance on the capacity to implement. But if we look at our current situation with Spark program, for example, which have already passed procurement, which have already been granted in contract, the level of inefficiencies continue. Indeed, we have seen just in the last conversation over the budget that Spark, which was to end in 2027, have indicated that it now end until 2030, and that funds that were supposed to
Yeah, but turn off the mic.
Spark, based on all documents submitted to the House, is a contract-bound program that ends in the next financial year, not 2030, and he needs to provide evidence.
Mr. Speaker, there's an unfortunate habit that has evolved for us to wantonly disrupt each other. However, the book that was published by the government called the Estimate of Expenditures indicated that they would have been spending for Spark up to the 40 billion up until 2030. Yes, he was asked about that and he himself responded. So I do not know. The minister also indicated in answering the question that he presumed it might have been a mistake. Right? So the fact of the matter is that the estimate of expenditure. Speaker, I believe that as is, the bill introduced great risk. It introduced great risk of corruption being masked by the process in which contracts are selected. It introduced great risk that small investors may be at the back of the line because of the duty of prioritization within entities that already claim that they have understaffed realities. It includes many risks because it creates expectations that may not be likely to be executed within the public. And it creates many risks because it puts within a single individual a certain level of authority. We on this side are of the opinion that anything that is necessary should be done for our reclamation, for our rebuilding, for our re-engaging of the people and our economic activity.
Mr. Andrew Holness, yes, you will come both. I want to read this. Jamaican citizen, I want to read this. You see me, Angela Burke, me give you the utmost respect. You see me, we not stand for colonization in this backside country. We not depend that. But Andrew Holness, this is the example. You see me? This is the example. For sure say, yo, the NARRA bill is unconstitutional. And Andrew Holness, me I go tag you another video. Yeah. So me know say you go see that video. Yeah. And my last video when me post about that about this serial thing when me post the name in the video. Try see them? Yeah, that me I talk about. That same video there when you get posted, You see me? But watch on Andrew Holness. This, more you fi deal with this. More you fi deal with this and the NARRA bill. So, more ask a question. You see what me ask? More ask a question. Tell me now. Like how the agency get rejection for the Bengal development mining project, right? Isn't the NARRA bill unconstitutional? Answer that. Would I want to know? And that is the sign where Angela Burke try show Jamaican people. But not for no Jamaican people, no being still colonized him, no don't know what going in this. You get what me I say? You don't know what going in this. You see me? No joke better. You don't know what going in this thing you. You see what me I say? When you read this last part, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, Dr. my backside, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, acting in his capacity as minister with responsibility. In a field capacity, with responsibility as minister with responsibility for the Natural Resources Conservation Authority had overturned. So, alright, Andrew Wallace overturned the agency rejection for the Bengal project because the NARRA bill wasn't in check in a 2020. So the NARRA bill passed. So, hey, uno better that's why NARRA bill, yeah? That is the sign where Angela Baker try show on the Jamaican people. Enough of the Jamaican people you know come in they pan videos and in a comment section and talk about Angela Baker this, Angela Baker that. You know done so no brain and no head still colonized. No know that. No know that. No look out for signs. Look out for signs, brother. You know see Jamaica still under colonization. Them telling us that Jamaica now under colonization again. Jamaica still under fucking colonization from them of that mace in the House of Parliament for pass through every authority. Because guess what? That same mace, who it responds for? Who that mace is for? The monarch. King Charles. So Jamaica still under blood clot colonization. You know, understand yourself here? And me is a boy, me nah hold back my mouth and talk for no boy and no girl. And no boy and no girl can't make me stop chat out of this amount and no time. So understand yourself. So you see me now, me start come back and start see someone who politician and prime minister and found in this thing going like say you can go on the people. Me start make back my videos with them man. Me I come back for you man. Me never post videos for a long time, brother. You see me? But this a boy I come back for you man. You see it? I'm glad how Marvin the about and do him thing, brother. And to be honest, chat, everybody will watch the video. You put it in a comment section. Mood mine, you know. Mood I want Marvin to be the prime minister of this blood clot country. Me rate Marvin vibes. Marvin, me I beg you. Put yourself as that, you see me? We want Marvin to be prime minister of Jamaica. Because some things are going on in our country. And so some things are going to be there. Yo, Jamaica, we don't know what I'm going to still, you see me? Because we don't understand, say, we don't look out for signs and wonders and stop listening to what people and say, stop be like a puppet like a prime minister. Because the prime minister, after the way them are do over, so you see what me I say? Or else them, you know? See me? No, Joe. I tell you, and that's why Donald Trump did have to go for that prime minister there over Venezuela, because Andrew Wallace knows say he would have get that. You see me? He must act on behalf of on behalf of the both countries, Britain and US. So we in a business with the two countries, them what we are get for yourself. But Jamaica no one to do. NARRA bill is unconstitutional, dangerous.
Alright, Jamaica, so I want you guys to listen to this carefully. This is Mr. Isaac Buchanan position on NARRA. Very important. Listen to this. And big up Mr. Will Rattigan, reasoning with Rattigan. This is his YouTube live stream. Check this out.
No, if you watch the last part of my speech, I would have invited, the drafters in the House who actually have the competence to look at some of the valid points that were being raised. This is, and people, every time people think of, when it comes to Parliament, Parliament stands united when it comes to certain issues. That is why there was a time when, under the leadership of Dr. Peter Phillips, the PNP supported state of emergencies over and over and over and over. So the Parliament, when needs be, have to be united on some things. My thing is, as I said earlier, I am not opposing the bill. I'm saying the bill in its form needs work. The bill in its form need to find out whether we are actually including people. Because if not, then I will have to publicly say I am against it. So when the time comes, if I don't see the amendments and I don't see those things which are necessary to ensure that, one, the secrecy aspect of it that is going to send somebody to prison. If you don't put prescribed person and designated persons who they can report to ensure that the disclosure legislation that can allow you to report without being disenfranchised, the access to information, all of these things, if the wording isn't there to circumvent the draconian aspects of it, it's going to affect the people, and I cannot support it. But most importantly, if the bill is going to, in this form, is going to make Andrew the King of Jamaica, I'm not going to be a part of that.
All right, but let's be absolutely clear. If this bill is going to make Andrew the King of Jamaica and the JLP all decide to vote for it, there's nothing the PNP can do.
No. In the Parliament, because you best believe before the Senate get to dabble with that bill with the King bill. Yeah, because the Constitution says is being, has been, or is likely to be. So the likely to be is gonna say, we're not depend on King Andrew business. My lords and my ladies, what are you doing? Yeah, argument done.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is this: like in the Parliament. We
can't do nothing.
Okay, all right.
So Jamaica, when you hear that, totally against the bill. If the bill is gonna make Andrew the King of Jamaica, listen, it's going to go to court. So rest easy, my people. Constitution is going to stand for us. All right? Yes, it's going to stand for us. So, Isaac is waiting on the changes that is recommended and necessary. So is the People's National Party. So if they continue with the bill as is, as draconian as it is, to make Andrew the King, the Constitution, the law, the courts, that's where we're going, baby. Get ready.
Okay, so the second question will be on procurement and transparency. Reason being, I'm looking at law versus discrepancy. And we already know the quote-unquote discrepancy. That cannot and will happen. So the question goes, if NARRA is exempt from public procurement, what legal enforced safeguard will ensure transparency and prevention abuse to internal policy that can be examined or executed?
All right, that's an excellent question. NARA is not excluded from public procurement, but it does have the step-in order and it does have emergency powers. So last year, I think it was the JPS thing, the Minister of Energy, if that's what he was, the member from West Portland. He was able to issue Starlink, and the Auditor General said, but wait, we'll never do procurement. And him says, emergency.
State Minister in the Ministry of Local Government, Delroy Williams, is defending the government's introduction of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARRA, noting that it is set up to be responsible for cabinet-approved reconstruction and resilience projects.
I see no problem. I definitely see no problem. As a matter of fact, when you go through the NARRA bill, it borrows a lot, in my view, from the Town and Country Planning Act. For the minister, or in this case, or the authority, to determine how the manner in which an application is dealt with and processed, that is powers already under the Town and Country Planning Act, and that is borrowed and placed into the NARRA bill. So there is nothing new here.
He argues the introduction of the bill is to expedite the approval processes for reconstruction and resilience projects, along with strategic investment projects.
The timely completion of these projects approved by Cabinet is very important as part of and in the public interest, and that is very clear in the bill.
Minister Williams dismissed suggestions that the NARRA bill is problematic simply because some members hold differing opinions, saying such disagreements are a normal part of the democratic debates.
Not because we hold a view that is different from the view of that is prevailing means that the bill is problematic. It doesn't mean the bill is problematic. And I'm saying, as I look at the bill, I definitely see no problem with the bill.
Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
This is how democracies ought to work. This is how a democratic society ought to be working. Where civil society organizations, the opposition, other interest groups seek to hold governments to account. And frankly, this is a credit to the democracy that we have here in Jamaica. It still has a lot. It needs a lot of work. But this is it when I heard that statement yesterday from the 28 civil society groups. Because what it means is that the government is being held to account. Their feet is being put to the fire. So this afternoon, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, not industry minister, but all the Minister Samuda from Water and Environment, we expect all of them to contribute. And this is the bar they will have to surmount this afternoon. How we are going to get NARRA going with speed, efficiency, and systems of accountability.
If you ask the people of Black River, what model are we choosing? Give us the quicker model. Give us the model that will deliver results in the shortest possible time. And that is what NARRA is. So yes, some say it centralizes power. Yes, disaster recovery cannot be managed by committee consideration. You have to have a central source of authority. Some say it gives too much authority to act quickly. Yes, it does. Under Section 12. Because approvals that take years need to take weeks in this situation. It allows for land acquisition, of course, because we can rebuild the same. And in some areas we cannot rebuild. So we have to be able to have the power to make these decisions. Madam Speaker, the opposition calls it overreach. I call it readiness. We have to have the ability to act when the nation needs us most. The real risk is not that NARRA is too strong. The real risk is that without it, we are too slow, too fragmented, too unprepared. New Zealand learned their lesson and built a system that delivered results. We now have the opportunity. We in this house, let us learn from that model. Let us not reject a proven model out of fear and partisanship. Let us embrace what has worked and do the right thing so that the people in Darliston, the people in Garlands, the people over in Balaclava and Burnt Savannah, they can see real reconstruction in the shortest possible time. We are getting it right with NARRA. Let us now get it moving. Like members and we grew up in country, we know delay is danger. Let us resist the urge to delay. We must pass this bill today and start the reconstruction. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
NARRA is designed to give the Prime Minister absolute power. Absolute power with little or no guardrails. Nothing to rein him in. Control over essentially the land, the land resources of the country. Right? That is what you call absolute power. Don't answer to nobody. The real significance of this moment, though, is not that a bill was challenged by the backbencher, parliamentary backbencher, because not only was it her who pushed back against the bill, the opposition made some observations, tepid at best, but it was Marlene Malahoo Fort's wading into the discussion and the fact of her position that made this significant difference. The real significance, as again, is not that a bill was being challenged. It is that someone inside the system finally looked at this bill and said publicly what many outside have long believed, And once that line is crossed, it cannot be uncrossed. The question now is whether Jamaica heard what she said and whether Jamaica will act on what she said.
Jamaica, I am fully convinced now that JCF, Jamaica Constabulary Force, have no plan. You hear me say? Them have no plan to have no good community police relationship. Them down Jamaica. Now Jamaica, me come out here so me tell the people them say, when you come up on the police, allow the police them to do them work. Take out on the phone and just make no videos. Without to argue with the police and cuss out with them. Comply just to minimize the brutality where the police are met out. Now Jamaica, you see the video? When the youth them in the party comply with the police. And what them do? Kick with them foot, throw them down the ground, tell man to lie down in a wet ground, people their party. And no crime no commit. The people them there didn't commit no crime. And the police just invade the party. Huh? So you tell me JCF members, that's how I plan to deal with the citizens of Jamaica. In JCF, that's how I plan to deal with the citizens of Jamaica. That these people cooperating with you. Why put a man in the ground and he's not under arrest? You're not trying to arrest him. Why tell the patrons to lie down, in them clothes, them dress up, leave them house? Why put them on the ground to lie down? Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Does that look right, sir? Aris Chang, Commissioner of Police, Justice Minister. You think that's right? So Andrew, that look good to you, Andrew? To see your police force treating the citizens of Jamaica in such inhumane way? And then the police brutality behind it? What are you trying to create in a Jamaica? A police state? But you see Jamaica? Would it tell you no? No give them no third term loading. Jamaica we never tell you no say. No give them no third term load. And no go ahead and reload. And no suffering the brutality by the Jamaica Labour Party. I has never seen the Prime Minister come out and address it. This is how the security force need to conduct themselves. Nobody never fire shut off, no? Party, everybody there, all our maids, are reason with them one another. Wanna invade the party and put the patron them to lie down in the wet grass. Kick we all man foot. Man, I say, when me a lie down on the floor for me not do nothing. Man put up them hand and no kick with them foot. That's how you not treat the people. But you know, Jamaica, it's sad, you know, that them mama live same place in the ghetto. Them sister and brother, them girlfriend, all them pitney. And that's how not gonna treat the people them. Police is so not gonna treat the people of the country. Huh? Now Jamaica, if uno we say shower labor right shower, now see something wrong with it, something definitely wrong with uno. Something definitely wrong with uno. Eh? That you don't see the brutalization and JCF, no make JCF come tell you no fuckery. But them a try build community policing. If JCF a try build good relationship with the citizens, uno would not deal with the people themselves. Eh? Uno wouldn't. Look how much people who killed since the start of the year. 120. How many of these young men, really, how many of them are innocent? How many of them shoot off a police? How many of them? Big 65-year-old man little 25-year-old police boy a kick with. So Andrew, so you are tell we, the people who migrate, this is what we must come back home to. This is what you are tell the people who migrate, who would one day want to return. This is what you are telling them to do. Come back to Jamaica to live underneath that kind of situation. Police brutality and tyranny by the security force. Come on to Jamaica. So you tell me, some place still have running water in a pipe. And this is what you are tell Jamaicans to come home back to. So what you going to do, Andrew? You're going to beat the citizens in a subjection? Is that your plan, sir? Because it seems like your plan. It seems like you're upon some Iranian style. It seems like you're upon some Hezbollah style, Andrew. Some Yemen style. Some Cuban style. That is your plan. To beat the Jamaican people into submission. No, sir. This have to be studied, Jamaica. And labor rights, nothing wrong with it. But I'm glad some man will get the brutalization, you see. Only dirty labor rights. We talk about third term loading. Me glad you will get some of it. And I wish I would one get it. You see how wicked this man was. The brutality behind the robbery of the Jamaican people, of them dignity and them human rights. I don't see nothing wrong with it. In Jamaica, that's why I tell you, say, I can't fuck with nobody with a labor right. And if it's a labor right, don't fuck with me either. Because that tell me you're wicked. If anyone I know will associate with me, support labor right, don't deal with me. Me say so. Because you could never in a right mind see the brutality that this government is subjecting the people to, away from the stress and the frustration of the economic. When economic bad and you get police brutality behind it, it's sad, you know. The police is who we're supposed to run to when we have a problem. We're supposed to feel confident to come to the police and say, crime over there, sir. But no, you can't even do it. And I see some man who say crime down. Yeah, me glad the crime down because JCF stopped commit the crime. And me never change my stance. Wherever I go on in the JCF, we have put the criminal lens that in a JCF under pressure. That is why you find the crime rate falling. And if it stay upon the trajectory there, when the police, them in a JCF, where is the criminal, stay under pressure, we're going to get crime, murder rate go down under 200. Can't make no mistake, Jamaica. Police gun, a shoot up a carnival. Police gun, responsible for the shooting a carnival. Then you come back the young lady down a junction St. Elizabeth. Soldier firearm. And me tell you, Jamaica, I make no mistake when I talk and I never tell a lie. That JCF and JDF is responsible for 50% of the crime on the island. I said so.
So while I've been having my regular morning coffee, I've been reflecting on what took place in Parliament on Tuesday night. And I can't help but notice the hypocrisy, the selective outrage, and the constant politicking coming from members on the government side. And yes, even the House Speaker. Because many of you woke up to the headlines and the sound bites about the maze. A carefully packaged version of events, what happened, what didn't happen, but with absolutely no context. And that's not by accident. That is political maneuvering. So yes, Dr. Angela Brownberg touched the mace. And the JLP is out here acting like she committed some grave offense. But what nobody wants to talk about is what actually happened before the moment. So on Tuesday night in Gordon House, the committee of the whole house was sitting, going through the NARRA bill clause by clause. Dr. Angela Brownberg, MP for St. Andrew Southwestern, wanted to speak. That is literally her job. She pressed her button the correct way, the proper parliamentary way. She pressed it again and again and again. And she called to the speaker, not once, not twice, but 5 times. She tried to get the speaker's attention. And the speaker ignored her every single time. No, just imagine you're at your workplace, you have something important to say about a matter that affects the people who you serve, and the person chairing the meeting just look past you, you know, like you're not even there. How would that actually make you feel? No. This is where it gets worse, because it wasn't just that Dr. Angela Brownberg was being ignored. The speaker, Juliet Holness, was heard making derogatory comments through all of that. You could hear the dislike in her tone. The way she spoke to Dr. Brownberg was dismissive. It was rude, and it was just beneath the dignity of the office that she holds. So a speaker's role, and let me be very clear, right, is to be neutral. The speaker is supposed to be the referee in that room, not a player, not someone carrying personal feelings into professional spaces. The chair is supposed to protect the rights of every member, both government and opposition alike, right? So that they can be heard. But this is not the first time. This is a pattern, a continued documented pattern of the inability to separate personal from professional. A pattern of bias, a pattern of disrespect aimed at members of the opposition, and it's been going on for far too long. Enough is enough. Now, when you can hear the contempt in someone's voice, when you can feel the partiality in how the chair runs a sitting, that is a problem. That is a serious, serious problem. Now, let me tell you something about this mace that everyone is so up in arms about. The parliamentary mace is a ceremonial object, essentially a decorated staff that sits in the chamber during official sittings. It represents the authority of the speaker and the legitimacy of parliament to conduct its business. So without the mace present, constitutionally, parliament cannot sit. So yes, touching the mace is a big deal, symbolically. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. But here's what I actually need you to understand. The mace is also a relic of our colonial past. That object with all its pomp and ceremony was inherited from the Westminster system, the British Parliament. Yes, it's a representation of the sovereign or crown. We carried it over, rules and all, into our independent nation, and there is a growing legitimate conversation across the Caribbean and the Commonwealth about what symbols we choose to keep, what we choose to challenge, and what they truly represent for post-colonial peoples. I'm not saying Dr. Angela Brownberg was right to touch it, but what I'm saying is, why did it get to that point? What drove a seasoned, experienced parliamentarian to that moment of frustration? That is the question. Now, the JLP wants to make Dr. Brownberg the villain of that incident in the last sitting. They want to talk about the mace, about standing orders, about parliamentary privilege. Fine. But where is the press release about a speaker who ignored an MP's right to speak? Where is the condemnation of derogatory comments being made from the chair? Where is the outrage about years of impartiality being compromised? The rules of parliament exist to protect everyone, not just the party in power. And when the very person who is supposed to enforce those rules is the one breaking the spirit of fairness, you don't come and get to only quote standing orders when it's convenient for you. No, Dr. Angela Brownberg did not wake up on that day, Tuesday, and decide to cause a scene for fun. She's a woman who was repeatedly ignored, talked down to, disrespected in a room where she has every right to be heard. And when you push people past their limit, when you treat professionals like they don't matter, eventually something gives. Now, the people of Jamaica deserve a parliament that works for all of them. They deserve a speaker who walks into that chair and leaves their personal politics at the door. They deserve a chamber where opposition voices are heard just as clearly as government voices. So, before you form your opinion based on a headline, ask yourself, what happened before the mace was touched? Who was ignored? Who was disrespected? And who is being held accountable for that? I want you to think about it.
How long must we continue like this? And every 5 years, we jump up like we're a bunch of idiots. I have never seen in all my entire 50-something years in this country see so much corruption. I saw it in the 1990s. But the 1990s is baby compared to this. This Andrew Holness government is one of the most corrupt political organizations in the history of this country. This Andrew Holness administration is one of the most corrupt political administration in the history of Jamaica. I can repeat it again. This Andrew Holness administration, led by the leader himself, who is the Prime Minister of this country, Andrew Michael Bogard Holness, is one of the most corrupt organizations in the history of Jamaica. One of the most corrupt government known. Everywhere you turn, corruption here, corruption there. And the sad part of it...
Damian Crawford says that he is taking the government to court. And here is the reason why. But before we get into it, if you don't know who I am, greetings, the name is Neef and you have entered the chat. Welcome. To officially become a member though, please just go ahead and click the plus sign over here. And if you want to support me in being able to produce better quality content and better news report to you, ladies and gentlemen, just drop a GIF in the comment section. It is much appreciated. Thank you so much. Now, with that being said, the Member of Parliament, Damian Crawford, has stated that he is taking the current JLP administration to court based on their neglection to funding early childhood education for our young minds. I'm going to read the report that he put out to the public so you can hear his explanation. Now, Damian Crawford said, I'm taking this matter to court because education is a right, not a favor. If the state is not delivering that right, then the Constitution must be enforced. He then went on to say, our Constitution says every Jamaican child has a right to public funded tuition at the pre-primary and primary levels. Pre-primary is the same as early childhood, or what we would call infant school or basic school. My position is simple. If the law exists in writing, it must exist in real life too. He then went on to say, too many families still struggle to access early childhood education. When access depends on what parents can afford, the constitutional promise is not being fully met. He also went on to say many early childhood institutions still depend heavily on fees, fundraising, and parent support to survive. That means the burden is falling too much on families and not enough on the state. This is not just about access, it is also about quality. Too many institutions are not fully certified and too many teachers are not degree trained. A right must be meaningful, not merely available. More than too many children are entering primary school without meeting key developmental milestones. That tells me the foundation is weak, and when the foundation is weak, the whole system will suffer. Early childhood education is one of the most important stages, yet it remains underfunded. If we know this stage matters most, then the investment must match the responsibility. The case was not filed out of malice, but out of duty to the Constitution, to the children of Jamaica, and to the future of this country. Education must be guaranteed, not managed like a privilege. Now, I'm going to share a personal story with you. I have a 4-year-old and she goes to basic school, right? So she's in the early childhood stage. I'm not going to name drop the school that she goes to for obvious safety reasons. However, when she started her first year, what we call K1, I was paying about $43,000 a term. That's every 3 months for her, school fee. Plus other few things. You have security in that, lunch and all of that stuff. And in just one full school year, it raised to $53,000 one school year. And the principal did explain that it's because of the prices, everything is going up. She has to be paying teachers. She has to be paying for extracurricular. She has to be now paying for security. She has to be paying for all these other things, insurance. There's just a lot of things that they have to take on, right? And I couldn't argue with her, even though I was like, this is beating my pocket. So now I'm at the point where I have to change her school because I just cannot manage it anymore. I cannot manage $53,000 every term. And I know that enough people will probably come upon this and say, but me I pay 80,000, 90,000. Good for you have it better than me. But I'm simply saying that to say, what Crawford is saying is not wrong. It is absolutely true. The parents of these kids have to be taking the bulk of these expenses on. And if you have more than one children, dog name is supper. Right? So the state needs to be doing more. And I think for many years it has been this way, and it has to change. Because in the Constitution it tells you that pre-primary education should be funded by the state, or at least partially funded by the state. So it's ridiculous that majority of the basic schools that we know is privately owned, and it's merely run based off donations, fundraising, and parents paying school fee. It is ridiculous. Our children are the future, and we need to invest in that. So go right ahead, Mr. Crawford. Take them to court, and I hope you win. You should win, because this is absolutely true. You are doing the people's work. Now, leave your thoughts and your comments about this case of, Mr. Crawford taking the administration to court for early childhood tuition, early childhood funding for, basic schools and infant school. And definitely leave a follow to be a part of all discussions.
No, allow me to speak, Senator. In a low-trust environment, the government is asking the people to invest a significant degree of confidence in an entity that will direct billions of dollars with little to no oversight. That is significant. Because the minister, the CEO has no requirement, Dion, to come before Parliament. When we amended the Bank of Jamaica Act in 2020...
Not true. Why are you repeating falsity?
No. I looked through the amendment.
That is a falsity.
Allow me. I looked through the amendment, Dion. What was amended was with respect to the reports that can be submitted. There is nothing in the amendment, and you should know better. You should go back and watch the video and watch the clip. I
don't have to watch the video.
There was nothing. There was nothing, Dion.
I've read the bill.
Let me see. There was nothing.
Hold on. I think I need a speaker's gavel at this point, because we can't hear when you both speak at once.
I made the point. Right. There was no amendment that requires the CEO to be present in Parliament. The amendment that was passed was with respect to reports that should be submitted. So the CEO doesn't really have to come to Parliament. Okay. And then I hear the argument about the PAC. To get someone to come to Parliament through the PAC mechanism, or PAAC, requires a motion by the PAAC, a motion that can be defeated by government members. There is no oversight there.
All right, hold on, Senator.
What we oppose firmly, responsibly, and unapologetically is construction without safeguards. Because, Madam Speaker, history teaches us that when large sums of money, emergency powers, and weak oversight converge, the result is not efficiency, it is risk. Risk of nepotism, cronyism, victimization, maladministration, and rampant corruption. The core problem, Madam Speaker, is a gap between promise and law. Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister delivered his presentation, and in his presentation he spoke about transparency, accountability, independent oversight, and national unity. But this House is not voting on a speech. We are voting on a law. And when we examine the law, the bill before us, we see a troubling pattern. Many of the safeguards described in the Prime Minister's presentation are not in the bill. So, Madam Speaker, because I realize that there are issues about the presentation and the bill, I decided to examine both carefully. And in looking at it, I went to the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons, because we are being asked to just follow some things blindly. And I am not willing to do so, because I have seen persons oppose even those things which are not disputable. For instance, I am happy today to read the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons to see that we have finally decided that the hurricane actually made landfall in New Hope in Westmoreland. It took us months to agree that Westmoreland was where the hurricane made landfall. Months. Several reports said that it made landfall in Black River, which then affected how resources were mobilized. There are several records to show.
On a point of order, you see what it is? It's a 2008 budget speech by Prime Minister Bruce Golding. So I sent for it in the library a while ago. Because I recall, President, where I was on that day when this speech was made in 2008. I was driving back from a meeting in St. Anne, and I listened to the Prime Minister on radio in the car. And the Prime Minister spoke about casino gaming. Start on page 10 of his speech. And it says, because what I'm going to do today is read parts of that speech into the record. He said, the issue of casino has been a lightning rod of controversy for a long time. We have tiptoed around the issue, not wanting to embroil in the controversy. We have sneaked up on the issue while proclaiming our opposition to it. And he spoke about slot machine, etc. I'm going to go quickly to how he ended on page 13. It is our intention to dedicate the revenues from casino operations to a special fund to finance capital development in health, education, and security. That's 18 years ago. And in that speech, the Prime Minister spoke about the Dennis Layla Committee of 2003. Got the tree right, right? Yeah. Right? Of 2003. And the fact that his government was going to ask Dennis Layla to set up a new committee to look at the way to deal with it, which is out of which the Casino Commission and so forth, and much of these regulations have come. So it's not key that this was done under your leader. It's a progression over time. It's a progression over time. It's a progression over time in which the baton have been passed. But also we must bear in mind that it is not as easy. It's not as easy as you all think. It's just not as easy to pronounce 850 million US investment. So, President, as we go through the then Prime Minister's speech, we found not promises, Senator Duncan, but agreements from 2008 still to be implemented. So this is what Prime Minister Golden said in 2008. In the meanwhile, the government has approved proposals from developers of Palmyra Resort and Spa, Montego Bay for you, Charlie, operating under a company known as Celebration Jamaica Limited, for a major new investment predicated and granting of a casino license. The investment involved consists of 2,800 new hotel rooms. Golden said, not 850 million, Senator Duncan, 1.8 billion US dollar. Where is it? 18 years after, where is it? Prime Minister went on, spoke about the fact that there's another company seeking an investment, and the move away asked Tavistock to agree to allow another company to come in. So this is what the Prime Minister said then. The amended agreement involved much more. Tavistock has agreed to increase the size of the project from 4,500 rooms to 8,500 rooms, with additional investment of US 1.2 billion. They will configure in a cluster of 9 hotels with other facilities and amenities. I make the point because all of these grand promises of 850, and we're constantly reducing the amount that you need to invest. Because the truth be told, I don't expect the outcome of what is being debated here to be any different from the outcome of the 5 in 4. I could go through this speech, President, and identify some great promises. Airport at Vernon Field, which was recently re-announced, was announced in 2008. Airport in Duck Field, St. Thomas. So what I'd recommend to you all, point I'm making, that you all come here. Yes, the point, because people understand what I'm talking about. I'm not talking from the balcony, you know. I'm talking from the shop floor, where people understand my language and relate to my language. So let me be clear. Let me be very clear. What you come here to sell, well, we can't change the casino regulations. You know. Senate can't change it. None of you on that side can change it. None on our side can change it. That's just the reality of the parliamentary proceeding. We can comment on it, which is what I'm doing. But you can't send it back. You don't have the moral fortitude to send it back. That's your problem. So I am saying to you very clearly, that Bruce Golding's speech of 2008 tells us that it's easy to talk, Senator Duncan, but it's hard to deliver. See, more than now, because we're talking about President bringing in a casino, as if to say casino is safe-proof. Even operators of casino run into bankruptcy. There are none other than the biggest and the greatest casino operator who can't even manage a war without killing 160 odd schoolgirls in Tehran. So let us be clear. Casinos can fail. So what we're going into, let's do so with wide open eyes. Let us do so influenced by the history of your own party. Your own party. Let us be influenced by your promise of 5 in 4. Let us be influenced by the fact that this opposition he can't change the regulations. You can't change it either. It will be passed today. But I don't know when the great promises that Senator Duncan has made, and for which you all trying to tell the country, will ever be achieved, if ever. I'm not a bad news carrier. I'm just realistic.
You have a voice. You have a voice. Okay, I've never heard your voice.
I can't understand how nobody knows say nothing wrong with that picture here. Imagine the young lady said she had a donor that reached out to her, willing to help, out of their own pockets, for donate 20 house to people in Jamaica, persons in Jamaica. 20 house, 20. And until now, she has yet to get a signature. A signature, I don't see nothing wrong with this. People still under tarpaulin. So tarpaulin. I don't know when the sun hot, man. And it lick under the tarpaulin there, man. And the heat, man. But I tell you, this cannot be Jamaica. This cannot be Jamaica. Them something you know right, man. Come on, man. You're not looking down yourself, no, man. Only now no nice bed asleep at night time and the people them under tarpaulin asleep. Jaja God, man. Come on. Guys, watch this clip.
It is in Garland's Maroon Town, Bickersteth, where families are still trying to stabilize their living conditions. People still live under tarpaulin. And I'm not saying they're living under a structure covered by tarpaulin no more. It is in Niagara, Cambridge and Stonehenge, where residents are still struggling with housing repairs, basic infrastructure, and in many cases are still not captured by the government's assistance database. No roof for them under roof. And it is in communities like Roehampton, Johnson Common, Johnson, where the question is not policy, but when help will finally reach. But let me say clearly, I support the need for faster reconstruction. I support coordination. I support removing unnecessary delays. And I say that as a member of Parliament who, within weeks of Hurricane Melissa, was approached by an international donor agency prepared to assist South St. James in a meaningful way. They wanted to build 25 homes at their own expense. They proposed water sourcing solutions and electricity build-out support for affected communities. I took that proposal through the system, engaging permanent secretaries, ministers, heads of ODPEM. I even enlisted the help of the leader of the opposition to try to get it to move. Months later, that approval has not been granted. 25 residents who could be in homes are held back because of one signature. But supporting, you have a voice. You have a voice. Okay, I've never heard your voice. But supporting speed does not mean accepting the diagnosis without question. Because we are being told that procurement is the problem. That procurement is what is holding back recovery. From where I stand, that is a challenge, but not the biggest challenge we are experiencing in the gap between disaster and relief.
It is not just the fear of crime that I'm referring to. I start with the recognition that the citizens of this country are afraid to even open their mouths. Not a man, a woman or child dares to speak out lest they be blacklisted and victimized by this government. They asked you to trust your future with them. They told you that under them they would be safe. What have you received instead? One of the greatest political betrayals of public trust in modern history. What was promised as security has now become fear.
My side, you know me there about Bumbuckler, Succo, Jackfruit Nose, Andrew Holiness, aka Succo, Jackfruit Nose, Sweet Pepper Nose, whichever one you know and call him, this Bumbuckler criminal here. No, you know, say it come to my realization that these Labour love empty promises. Why did I say that, Pepper? Why, Pepper, why did you say Labour love empty promise? Explain. One, he said that he will provide a card for the Jamaican people to go to stores that he will be stocking and providing the necessity they need to get back on their feet. One, this is one of the promises that he had made to Jamaica people. This is promises that lies he sell. This is the lies that the Labour at them sell, and they don't sell the Labour at them, buy it, swallow it, and consume it good, and say, yes, them need more. Good food. Labour like lie good food. That's their thing. Now, him say my promise increase of minimum wage. This pussy wall here. May I show you some things, you know. Alright? Now, the doctors them did a ball from back then. Mr. Doctors did a protest the other day. Say them understaffed because of Hurricane Melissa. Look at this in a Jamaican, and if me I talk fuck you don't tell me in a real life, cause I'm the voice of a new revolution. Me I say it or me say it. Me not take it back. Freedom of speech. It is what it is. Now, me see doctors in a Bumbuckler, Jamaica, with placard. They wasn't getting enough good pay. One, they're understaffed. They need more help. Now, JLP government decided that he will be cutting the contract, disconnecting the contract that with the best doctor in the Caribbean, Cuba. No, to mama bomber ass clad. All of these promises that make sure Jackfruit knows. And we barely see them fulfilling. People in Jamaica still homeless after Melissa when need help. Sir Jackfruit knows what are you doing, sir? Bumbuckler Sweet Pepper knows what you do. Poor people need help. You fly everywhere, go every minute, and now report back to the country, and we are say earthquake here so, earthquake there so. If an earthquake or something, your government them a rob. Somebody under investigation. Labour right government. Jamaican people. You see, Labour right, them are gonna make we sink off a map, you know. In a real life. But one thing me can't tell you, you know. Hey, you see, you don't know me. Me not stop beat them Labour right, you know. Comrade. You don't know, say, me not stop beat them. I'm the voice of a new revolution. Me not stop beat them. Because me see the fucker them. You promise card and place where you go put food for Jamaican people. And that erase, it not happen again after certain things come up. Okay, you don't know me. This video is for entertainment purpose only. Like, share, follow me. Yeah, man. This video is for entertainment purpose only. Me bumbo class. Boy, you promises. Be empty promises is given now. And not fulfill them, sir. None. Poor people, they don't need help and you not help them. You not help them. You have time to mind other people's business other than your business. The people in the country need to get help, sir. Sir, so could Andrew, sir, I don't know. We put in a power, you know. We put in a power. Don't forget it here. They say when the revolution start down there, sir, you're not escaping it in a real life. You know, like, share, follow me.
No, people, no previous repeat. Just what we hear them attack saying the government are the best and rare and they take money and put in a catastrophic fund and now the country have a benefit of lies. People get lies and lies and lies and lies after lies. Look at watch out. We don't get that the money there. The equivalence of the money we get from the catastrophe fund, a JPS get it all like. Then them still are boast and say, oh, this government is so good. No new taxes. Now look how courthouse are full with people. You know, can't pay tax. Said government, the things say government are going to look pound, we run go vote for you, man, boss, but no new taxes. Yeah, we understand the tax run the country. But in a running country, especially when the tax money is being misappropriated, misaccounted for, and poor people still suffer like them from cardboard. Out the door, can't get no good health care.
We looked at the power in the bill. In part 2, we asked where the protections were. Now the debate is exposing something even bigger. What is NARRA actually becoming?
But NARRA is not about providing solutions to the present needs of those people who are suffering. NARRA is really a revamped attempt to inject higher levels of growth into the economy of Jamaica. That is primarily what it is about. If you actually look at the bill, other than the preamble, which does not become a permanent part of the legislation, there is no reference in the bill to Melissa or to any hurricane. And if you look at its provisions, it is really about the government trying to find a way of achieving meaningful rates of economic growth after a decade of failure to do so. The fact of the matter is that NARRA is a statutory body without a statutory board. It is an aberration.
The government says NARRA is about rebuilding after Melissa. The opposition says it is becoming something much broader, a fast-track vehicle for growth, investment, and project acceleration. That is not a small difference.
This is like a massive conglomerate being operated by a single officer, a CEO with no board and no proper oversight. It's wrong. Jamrock has no legal powers and is not a legal construct. It cannot effectively provide oversight or ensure accountability within NARRA. It has no legal authority and it doesn't exist in law. And to suggest otherwise is very misleading to the public.
And that takes the debate straight to oversight. Because if the government says there will be independent oversight, then Jamaicans have a right to ask a simple question. Oversight where? In speeches or in law? That distinction matters.
Where are the explicit procurement rules? Where are the independent oversight mechanisms? Where is the requirement for competitive tendering, public disclosure, or value for money audits in real time? Instead, we are asked to trust blindly that this authority will regulate itself. That is not how Westminster democracy works. What we are seeing here is executive capture. The Prime Minister controlling everything. The architecture of this authority is not independent. It is subordinate to the executive. The CEO is appointed by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister can issue binding directions and the CEO must comply. The Cabinet alone determines which projects are approved and which are strategic. This is not a balanced institutional design. This is centralized executive control over project selection, procurement, and execution. The bill compounds the risk by combining these two dangerous provisions. The first is the secrecy clause. Officials are legally bound to treat documents as confidential with criminal penalties for disclosure, not administrative, criminal penalties. And then these officials are indemnified for any actions taken in their roles. So you're combining secrecy, executive control, weak oversight, massive discretionary spending. Mr. Speaker, this is not the formula for efficiency. This is a fertile ground for corruption.
That is the harshest language used in the debate so far. But strip away the rhetoric, and the underlying question is serious. If one structure can help choose projects, push approvals, operate under special rules, and move billions quickly, where are the hard brakes? That is the fear sitting underneath this bill.
I believe that as is, the bill introduced great risk. It introduced great risk of bottleneck being transferred to NARRA. It introduced great risk of corruption being masked by the process in which contracts are selected. It introduced great risk that small investors may be at the back of the line because of the duty of prioritization within entities that already claim that they have understaffed realities. It includes many risks because it creates expectations that may not be likely to be executed within the public. And it creates many risks because it puts within a single individual a certain level of authority. We on this side are of the opinion that anything that is necessary should be done for our reclamation, for our rebuilding, for our re-engaging of the people and our economic activity. However, we also believe, as I agree with the leader of the opposition, that we should have a conversation, a more fulsome conversation of what NARRA should look like by having a joint select committee. Thank you, Mr.
And that is why the pressure for a joint select committee is growing. Not because Jamaicans oppose rebuilding, but because a bill this wide, this powerful, and this unusual should be tested properly before Parliament locks it in. So the NARRA debate is no longer just about speed. It is now about scope, governance, oversight, and whether Jamaica is being asked to accept a reconstruction authority that may be turning into a much wider fast-track power center than the public was first told. Because Jamaicans support rebuilding, but support for rebuilding is not the same thing as signing a blank check for power. And centralizing too much power in one office should never be accepted as the price of rebuilding. Jamaica, take this seriously. A bill this powerful should not pass on vibes and speeches. Share this, follow Jamaica in Focus, and comment review if you think Parliament needs to slow down and get this right. Receipts checked. This is Jamaica in Focus, where the receipts are always checked.
We should talk to them about that. Government should make sure they're involved in that. Government should do this. Government should do that. Well, Marky G, in case nobody never enlighten you, let me enlighten you. This is not a co-government. There is a reason why the people of this country went out on September 3rd, 2025 and voted overwhelmingly for the Jamaica Labour Party and not you. And in this country, there are winners and there are losers. The winners form the government, the losers are opposition. Your basic job as opposition is to steer House Party there and oppose. All we want to get opposed. We are opposed to that. We are opposed to this. We do agree with that. We disagree with that. We don't like that. You can do all that all day long. It's part of your job. That's why you call opposition. But when it comes to running government, there's no core. There's no partnership. There's no core government. Opposition has absolutely nothing to do with government. But there was a time in this country, two successive governments, Mr. Siaga not so much, Manley to a lesser extent, but it was P.J. Patterson, who brought it to a level where a lot of people outside of government suddenly believe that they have a contribution to make, and that contribution is to tell government what to do. And that contribution is to say to government, you can't do that unless you include me. And you can't do that unless you include us. And if you're going to do that, come sit down with me. P.J. Patterson was the one who started to entertain that level of engagement with some of them people there. Most of them. And he started it by... I remember when there was this lady who was head of the Nurses Association. Every time a sector give the government a problem, them run out and give the leader of that organization some position. Syringa Marshall Burnett, head of the Nursing Association. She was named senator because she was loud. And the government figured out a way to shut them up is to give them position. The problem with these groupings and the Andrew Holness administration is that nobody now take them up on that. That is not how this operates here, so that different government there's. PJ used to do that. And I hate to say it and repeat it again, but it was also part of the corruption. It was. Because when you want to shut up somebody like a Trevor Monroe, and him go form this NIA organization, and you put him in the Senate, and you name an ex-senator, and you go on because you want to include civil society in government. It was a mistake. It was a grave mistake, because it was from then that they believe that them have some say in government, and they do not. I want you to understand, be clear about some things, you know. Every single citizen in this country have the right to cast a vote. I would imagine that some people in civil society also cast a vote. I am almost 100% sure that them don't cast those votes for the GLP member of parliament. Maybe one and two. Maybe Mr. Chuck and Mr. Samuda in his time. Maybe one and two might have voted for Delano and definitely Delroy Chuck and young fellow over Northwest St. Andrew there. One and two people from that ilk would have cast a vote for a GLP MP. When PJ started taking civil society and placing them in our government, independent senators, I mean, at the time, everybody hailed it as something progressive. We now know that it was not good. It was not a good thing. Could not have been. And why did they name Trevor Monroe? Because he was the loudest voice. Everyone could think him out there with him, look a shot at herself saying something with that way that he says something, because he speaks very good English, and him come out and he make some speech, and them everybody ray, and Dr. Trevor Monroe said this and they said that. I'm going to take it a little bit because I'm still having a slight headache. And then put him past Senate. And Trevor Monroe skillfully used that platform to cleanse himself, to bathe himself in the oil of goodness and the oil of decency and the oil of an upstanding citizen. Remake himself. There's nothing wrong with remaking yourself. But I'd like to advise and give some information to all of those offshoot groups that came about as a result of the Trevor Monroe thing. Because that's where it started. Trevor Monroe and him thing, Jamaicans for Justice, NIA, God knows what else. All of them offshoot from his first stand as a cloaking himself in a civil service capacity. You know, there was a movie in 2000, released in either 2005 or 2006, a Spike Lee movie named Inside Man. Very, very good movie. Big movie when it came out. Big movie financially, commercially, big movie critically. It was an acclaimed movie. The Inside Man, starring Clive Owen. And Clive Owen is a very good actor, but he didn't get much movies. That suffice to say. Children of a Lesser God, something like that. Yeah, he was in it. But in Inside Man, Clive Owen, Jodie Foster, Denzel Washington, Christopher Plummer played Arthur. The plot of the movie was simple. Some man go to the bank, hold the bank hostage, set them rob the bank, then everybody get left out. Nobody could figure out who the robbers were. It was a brilliant script. Brilliant script. But here's a twist of the movie that makes it so good. In the bank, Clive Owen, who was the inside man, got through all of the safety deposit boxes in the bank. They never came out with a dollar, not even a dollar, because they went in there for some specialized diamonds, which they got. But Clive Owen, the smart bank robber, also chose that bank for a particular reason. He chose the bank because it was the first bank that the owner of the bank started after World War II. And after they researched him, they discovered that he was in bed with the Nazis during World War II, and he did some things. And like all criminal, wicked, evil minds, he couldn't help himself. He saved some stuff. Arthur, played by Christopher Plummer, he had a flag in one of the safety deposit box, the Nazi flag. The first flag that Hitler raised when Hitler became Chancellor in 1933. He had it as a gift from Hitler. And he's in build the bank and him secured 2 safety deposit boxes as his personal safety deposit boxes. And it's his first bank, so it's his flagship bank, so him feel like him safe to put these things there. So there's the flag, the Nazi flag. There are the gems that Clive went looking for. And then there is a ring taken from a prominent Jewish family during World War II. And according to the script and how it was flowing and the dialogue, the ring not only belonged to a prominent Jewish family, it belonged to a prominent Jewish family that Arthur sold out and took the ring. And typical criminals, him have it. So at the end of the movie, Denzel have the ring because Denzel Washington played the policeman, good cop, not a criminal. Of course, Clive Owen gave him one of the gems. And we'll tell you why I'm telling you a story, you know. And he kept the ring. But Denzel gave the ring to Jodie Foster, who was played she was a kind of a fixer for Arthur. She get things done for him and charge him big money. And it was going to haunt him, and that's how the movie. Brilliant script. Brilliant directing from Spike Lee. I mean, I'm not a Spike Lee fan in terms of his movie, but this one was pretty good. Now here's the thing about it. The message that the bank robber wanted to send. Arthur was in bed with the Nazis. At the end of World War II, he started his banking business. And this was his flagship bank, the first one. And because of his guilty conscience of all the bad things that he did, and how he helped the Nazis steal jewelry and art from the Jewish people, in conscience bother him, so I'm spending his entire life wrapping himself in charity and goodness, being a paragon of virtue, give away money left, right, and center, black schools, Jewish educational center, everything. He was just one of the greatest guy on the face of the earth. The guilt was rocking him and wrap himself in that. So let me shoot off now to come back to that and tell you why I'm telling you that. Go back to Trevor Monroe, because it's him start all of this, and PJ gave him the platform to do it. And now these set now that come after him, when Mr. Chang said them have an organization built on blood money, let me repeat it, they have an organization built on blood money. In this country, you will find labor rights that say, Michael Manley, the first man to bring gun in Jamaica. Michael Manley bring gun in Jamaica. And you'll find PNP people say, no sir, a Siaga bring gun in Jamaica. And then you'll find some people say, a Joan God Webley bring gun in Jamaica. Or some people would say, a Tony Spalding and Dudley Thompson, Carl Thompson, my former MP. All of them man the name call about bringing guns. Them even says Palmer. Couldn't do tell a lie on Palmer. Couldn't give him too much credit for it. I mean, stop it. All of them man them say bringing guns in Jamaica. But here's the thing that them also say, and this one is the only fact of all that them say, that Trevor Monroe was the first man to bring gun in Jamaica. And after all that he did in those days, and Farming Workers' Party of Jamaica, he decided to bathe and put on perfume, suit, and wrap himself in papers of virtue, in clothes of virtue, and start holding people accountable. People must be held accountable for things, and he's not been held accountable. I've been held accountable for all them do yet. So he never take them cue from. So me I tell them, say him already cleanse himself. Maybe him up and the other one that I can't dead. I don't know if him sick, I don't wish him no ill. I don't know. Don't know nothing about him. I don't know what's wrong with him. Or the thing. But maybe him one that I can't dead because of all the wickedness that they have done. I know him set up them other one, you know, to come antagonize government about stuff. And there we have them. Now, under normal circumstances, people, let's talk to Jamaican people. I want to share the life, please. Share the life. I'm going to call some people name I want to share the life with them. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with civil society. You know, Jamaicans for Justice, the Brotherhood, I don't know what them I do, the Environmental Trust. Nothing wrong with them having things to say. Government face criticism every day. It's part of the job. But for them to start believing that they have some kind of special privilege that them should be getting, I am here to tell them that they have absolutely zero special privilege. We are other voters like everybody else. We don't have no special privilege. And government not go in no position. And government not set up no committee and put them in charge and nothing. We can't stand the fact that something going to go on and money are going out and we're not a part of it. We don't like when nothing happen for the poor people of this country and we don't have no hand them in it. And that is what I be to them. I really disagree with Cliff Hughes. But Cliff, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Government do have to have no engagement with these group of people. And I'm going to tell you why. No engagement, Cliff. This is not 20 years ago. Government don't even talk to them for the mere fact that they have all established themselves already as PNP mouthpieces. They are not diligent, patriotic, independent-minded people. They are there to make the government life hard because they have established themselves as PNP mouthpieces. They are not independent-minded people. They don't want to be a part of any process to contribute positively, to help, to build. No, they want to be in a position to tear down while them thief. They want to be in a position to mash it up while them thief. They want to be in a position to come give statement, and they're on TV, and they're on radio. That is their motive. So no, Cliff. Government don't want an engagement with them. Because in this country, and every other democracy across the world, except for places like Canada, who form government with six different parties, and France too, because Macron had to form a government with several different parties for him to actually remain president. We don't have that. We don't have that. One party win, one party loses. One government. There's no co-government, no deputy government, no assistant government. Just one government.
Wagwan, the beautiful, beautiful people of Jamaica. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your presence, by the way. I don't take it for granted. So guys, in today's video, we are talking about, number one, the NARRA bill. What are Jamaicans saying about this bill? We will also be talking about the promises that the government makes, and then, you know, the outcome may become the opposite, or they could actually like execute the promise. And now in this video, it's the reaction part. What are Jamaican people saying? What is their reaction on this? So a lot is happening in the island of Jamaica. And of course, when it comes to the government in itself, they are portraying themselves as this government that is doing things very fast, this government that is ambitiously big, this government that is transformational. And you know, the Jamaicans are speaking in the streets, in the church, everywhere. They are actually speaking, and they are saying that, or rather they are asking very, very hard questions about the promises, about the power, Even about the NARA bill, guys, do you even know what NARA bill entails in it? Because when it came at first, we saw it as this body that will be doing reconstruction and resilience thing. But now we are being told that there is so much into it. It's a scandal. I don't know. Hey, guys, that's what we'll be talking about in today's video. So I want us to start by talking about the NARA bill, because you need to understand that's what is actually being talked about at the moment in Jamaica. And I don't know if Jamaicans have understood, by the way. Do you think that with this bill, the government will be able to do the reconstruction like very, very quickly, because it's meant to support what had been destroyed by Hurricane Melissa? That was its main goal, agenda, and vision. So NARA stands for National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority. Sometime back, the CEO of NARA resigned. So that means that things aren't really good. So according to the government, they believe that this body, the NARA body, is very urgent, because with the presence of this body, reconstruction will be at a very high speed, the rebuilding part of the island, and that is because Hurricane Melissa did destroy like 70% of Jamaica's island. And of course, these are people that were affected, families, name them. So, according to the government, they believe that with the presence of NARA, it is going to cut down the delays that prevents things from speeding up, rebuilding from speeding up, reconstruction from speeding up. They believe that with NARA, projects will be delivered at a very, very short time and period. So, remember, they're not talking of small projects only, big projects like roads, hospitals, schools, communities, name them. And my good people, do you think that Jamaicans are okay with this bill? You've listened to people talking, you've listened to the leaders, the citizens, and what are they saying? What are you saying? Kindly comment. We need to discuss this thing so that we may be able to know if this NARA bill will really be there to do the work that it had been created for, or just to squander the Jamaican citizens' taxes. So, the government is telling the Jamaican people that the government cannot afford to wait. It's been due over long. It has been so long. And that they are not wrong about this. At the end of the day, the damage is very real. People lost lives. People lost homes. Roads were destroyed. I mean, the island faced a lot of waterborne diseases, malaria. So many challenges. Crops in the farms, they were destroyed. So it is urgent that we need this body to help us speed the rebuilding of our island. When Hurricane Melissa came in, so many things were destroyed that is estimated to cost over not really 1 point, but over 12 billion Jamaican dollars, if not US dollar. And up to now, several months later, people are still struggling. And therefore, that's the reason that the government is saying that we need this NARA. Because with NARA, things will be acted upon. they'll be no longer waiting for anybody, because this NARA will just act for itself. They don't need to be going to the parliament back and forth to discuss ABCD and all that. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding this bill. And of course, it has bring some kind of attention in Jamaica. The way people are talking about it, it's like, yeah, it's not really meant to help us. It's meant to make the rich richer. So the bill already passed in the parliament like some few days ago, and it was very late in the night. You could actually, I hope you saw that clip that we have here of a parliamentarian talking about the bill being passed at around 1 a.m. there. And that was after several hours of heated debate between the opposers and the proposers. At the end of the day, you see, it's very difficult to get people that will support one thing because, we think differently about every situation. And I can tell you, in this particular bill, in this particular debate that happened in the Parliament of Jamaica, you know what happened, guys? The opposition pushed back harder and harder. Society groups, they raised alarms. And those that are in the opposition side, they were saying one thing in common, that the NARRA bill is giving too much power to the Prime Minister because, he will actually take pride in all the work that will be done under NARRA. And, too much control will lead to too little oversight at the end of the day. So there are so many concerns that were raised. And that is things to do with, central power of these things that will be taking place under NARRA. They wanted the reconstruction to take place at in an office whereby there will be public scrutiny. Under NARRA, it will be majorly controlled by the Prime Minister. So that will mean that you will actually, of course, not like by the Prime Minister, but the Prime Minister's people, they'll be there, they'll give out their reports, and that will be the final. There'll be no discussion, questioning. And if it's put under the executive office, then concerns of overspending will be raised. Weak accountability will be raised. Limited independence will be raised. So there are so many items and concerns. And that is why people don't really want this NARRA bill. Because, a bill, when it's passed, then it becomes a law and you cannot do anything about that. People fear that billions of dollars could be used without accountability. And you see, when something goes without accountability, then the island will lose so much. And it's the poor people that will pay for it, not the rich ones. So Jamaicans are talking. They are speaking. And they are actually saying that it's unfair. That every election, they actually tell us the same promises. They talk nice. They embrace whatever is done in the ground. But at the end of the day, there is frustration. Jamaicans actually face deep frustrations. And, people become tired of waiting and not seeing change at all. Anyway, there are those who will be like, if this bill is for the good of the people, then well and good. But Again, who is there to oversight and ensure that there is accountability? I don't know what to think about that. Because, so many people believe that it's not just about a bill. It's about years and years of promises with a lot of mixed results that doesn't have an head or a tail. You cannot really understand. Anyway, the government of Jamaica is really defending their arguments on the bill, and they're saying that, oh my God, guys, the government cannot afford to wait. You see, if something goes through the parliament, then it will take so many time to even form a committee. It will take so many months for a meeting to take. And by the time actions are taken up, it's already 1 year plus. And if you look at the situation in the ground, Jamaicans are suffering. And that's not fair at all. So according to the government, if NARRA is there, then that means that there will be speed. That means that, projects will be coordinated better. And even it could attract international investments, and that will mean that it's the island that is going to benefit. And therefore, better results will be seen at the end of the day. I don't know what to think about that. Because the government of Jamaica is telling its people that all these things, it's actually, it's not about control, it's about delivering to the people, to the citizens of Jamaica, to the voters. So, what do you think matters more? Is it speed? Is it accountability? Because, you'll not get both of them. You'll not get both of them. Anyway, thank you so much if you watched the clip up to this point. I truly appreciate your presence. I don't know what you think about these broken promises. Because, many Jamaicans are really talking about this issue and they consider it to be bigger. Because for so many years, the government has always promised them that jobs will come, the cost of living will go down, infrastructure will improve. But if you look at things on the ground, food prices are high, transport costs are high, people are struggling to pay rent. So, you see, when a powerful bill like NARA appears, people don't just see opportunities, they see risks, and so many questions get to be asked. Like, will this really help us, the people of Jamaica? Or is it just another promise? Guys, I don't know what to think about that. Because, NARA is not just a policy, it's actually a test of leadership, delivery. If it works, then I can tell you it's going to transform Jamaica. Because the development will be fast and infrastructure will be modern, economy will grow. But if it fails, guys, oh my God, if it fails or if it lacks accountability and transparency, it's going to deepen the distrust and widen the gap between the government and the voters or the citizens of Jamaica. Anyway, Jamaica is at a crossroads for real. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next video same time.